Hello, I'm Denise Galoni. Welcome to today's episode of Empowering You. My guest today is Kelly Commander. Kelly is very empowering. In the middle of a pandemic in 2020, Kelly decided to start her own business and be the curator of an anthology with 20 other women and write this book. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm very excited to have Kelly Commander with me today. In 2020, the year of necessary changes for small businesses, nonprofits, and corporations, Kelly found the courage to follow her dreams to start a business and become a published author. Kelly's the president and CEO of K2 Creative and PR, a public relations, content, marketing, and branding firm. She works with many small business clients, but has found a niche in providing services to authors, coaches, speakers, and female entrepreneurs. Kelly's the creator, project manager, and contributing author of the Amazon bestseller 21, an anthology of 21 female entrepreneurs sharing their stories, building resilience during the global pandemic. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much. I held the book up whenever you were saying that about the 21 book, because, I always have one on my desk, of course. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here today. So I have a question for you. 2020, we all know what happened in 2020. The world stopped for a while, and you decide, I'm going to start a business and write a book.
Yeah, sort of in that order. I had been, and I think most people are familiar with my name just from the 11 years I spent at the Pittsburgh Business Times. So I worked there from 2004 until 2015. And then I had a couple other positions in there in between. And the last position I had, right when the pandemic hit, I got laid off. So I thought, this is a perfect time to regroup, read some books, get some exercise. And when I got called back in May of 2020, I declined because I had so much time to think and look at things completely differently, under a completely different lens, and realize that if I was going to ever have my own business, now was the time to do it. And that's when I started K2 Creative and PR.
And that's usually what happens. I know I quit a full-time job way back in 2017. And I thought, well, if I'm going to start a business, 2014, it's been 7 years. I thought, if I'm going to start a business, now's the best time to do it.
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
So you started your business. So now you're going into over a year. First year?
Yeah. I just had my first year. First full year was June of 2021. So I'm a little bit past my first year.
Congratulations, you made the first year.
Yes, thank you. I've learned a lot. I'm always open to learning new things and improving my business and expanding my business. And most of the women who are in my circle, just having so many powerful, knowledgeable, helpful women behind other female business owners is huge. Right. And I couldn't have done half of what I've done without having my friends and I guess you call it my tribe.
Yes. I agree. I know when I started my business, I didn't know what I was doing. No. I didn't have anyone around me till I started finding friends and they had their own businesses and helped me. And even now, 7 years in, I'm still learning things daily, things I had no idea about running a business.
Right. And I think that's what makes you a good business owner, is that you don't think that you know everything. You don't think whatever you've done is what you've done and that's the end of it. You know that there's always more to learn and you can always expand and do better.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about your business first. Okay. K2 Creative and PR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started it because truthfully, I had spent all those years working with business people, working with business owners, and especially when I was in the banking industry. I had managed a bank branch for about 2.5 years. I did like a total 180 from what I had ever done and moved into banking, which was crazy. Enjoyable, I learned a lot, but I was learning that business owners know so much about their industry and they know so much about their business, but they can't get those ideas from their head onto paper. And I don't mean physically writing it. I mean their
Sure.
social media posts, their blogs. You know, if
Being
they're going to
that
write,
creative process.
yes, if they're going to
Yes.
write a book about their business, any of that kind of thing, they just don't know how to get that out there. And frankly, they don't have the time, and they really shouldn't be spending a lot of time on those sorts of marketing things. They need to work on expanding their connections, growing their businesses. You know all this, exactly. So my thought was, you know, create the content, because I love to write. And my goal since I was a very young child, a little girl, was to become a published author. And I just never had the guts, the resources to do any of that. And I thought, you know what, if I start slow and I start creating content for people, maybe a couple blog posts, and I can write my own blog, it can eventually morph into more. Now, that said, I didn't plan on creating an anthology with 20 other women in the same year that I started my business, but
Right.
that ended up just how it happened. It just worked out that way.
Things happen for a reason. And I think you had a great point that as business owners, we need help.
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially if you're starting a business or you're struggling, you think, well, I'm just going to save the money and do it myself. And you can't do that. I mean, you have to outsource a lot of those things. And it's hard to run a business and be creative, as you said. So I think you did fun in each there, because it is very difficult to do.
It is. And sometimes people are too close to what they do to realize that they're not promoting themselves enough. And that's kind of how the PR part of it happened. I had taken a local online class with a local PR person to Pittsburgh, and I learned a lot about things that I knew. Like, I knew how to write a press release. I knew how to do the basics, but she really gave me a lot of insight into what more you can do as a publicist to raise awareness for companies and people, and to get them in front of the media, get them onto podcasts, get them onto shows like yours. And I just fell in love with it. And that's when I added the PR part to the company. And I'm very glad that I did.
Oh, that's great. And it's hard. It's hard for people to toot your own horn, so to speak, or
Yes.
talk about yourself, because we think, we from a very early age, we've been taught, don't brag
Yeah.
about yourself, don't brag. And it's really hard to overcome that.
It is. And I actually just did a little piece on that during the conference that we put on for the 21 book. We did the digital conference, and I talked about overcoming your fears of promoting yourself and getting yourself into the media, being visible. And I said, don't be afraid to brag, especially if somebody gives you a testimonial.
Right.
Put that out there and celebrate that you helped somebody, and show people you can do the same for them.
Yeah. And I think too, as women, we struggle with that a little bit more, because men are like, oh yeah, that's right. But women are like, no, it's nothing. It's no big deal.
Right. No, that's definitely true. Yeah.
So that's great. So you started your business, and then how did the book even come about? Now, I know you said that you've always wanted to be a published author.
Mhm.
So what made you decide, I think I'm going to write an anthology instead of writing my own book? Because I think that has to be so much more work. I mean, my book took me years just because I just kept putting it down. But to get all those people together, I just can't even imagine. So I'm really interested. What was your thought process for that? Why did you decide to go that route?
Well, it was kind of decided for me. And the reason I say that is I have a very good friend, Renee Farrow, who decided to become a business coach during the pandemic. You know, everybody was looking for extra things to do. So
Sure.
Renee decides that she is going to go to Duquesne University and take coaching classes.
Yeah.
So we've been friends for many, many years. And she says, would you be a guinea pig of mine and let me coach you for, I think it was 6 or 8 weeks. I can't remember.
Sure.
And yeah, and I was like, yes, like to be able to pick your brain, to get free advice this early on in running my own business. I'd be crazy not to.
Right.
Right, because she was already a successful business owner from many decades ago before I worked with her at the Business Times. So towards the end of our coaching series, she was doing an exercise with me where she took me 5 and 10 years down the road. And it was like a meditation. Well, it was a meditation. And I'm not very good at that because I can never turn my brain off and I can't stop thinking. And
Right. Same way.
it's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard.
I can't do it. Can't do it.
They say it takes practice. I'm trying. So, you know, she sat me down and I was right here at my desk and my eyes were closed and I was concentrating on just relaxing, and her voice was just so soft and so kind. And she had walked me down this path, and there was a lot of tears. I cried, a lot of emotion. And at the end, she asked me to give myself a gift from me to me.
Yeah.
And she said, do you want to share with me what the gift was? And I said, yes, it was my book. I wrote a book. And you know, she said, when is that? And I said, I don't know, 5 or 10 years from now. And she said, 3 words. And this has stuck with me. Why not now?
Right.
And I said, Renee, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I just started my business like 5 months ago. I can't do all of this. I said, you know how long it's going to take me to write a book and find the right people to help me get it out there and publish it and edit and all that stuff? And she goes, it's not going to take you that much effort. You can do an anthology. You can find other people to write chapters, to create an anthology with you and have a book. So I thought about it, and the night before Thanksgiving, this is 2020, I was feeling very depressed, I was just sick and tired of everything. You know, there was no vaccine yet. I was not hosting dinner like I do for my family for the last 20 some years.
Sure.
And I was just really down. And then I started to think, you know what, there's good things that have happened during this pandemic. I started my business. I met a whole new group of people online that I connected with through virtual networking events that, you know, live far away that I would have never met before. And, you know, the whole thing just started going in my head. And I thought, you know what, there are people who are winning during this pandemic. And I thought, if I can get 20 other women, I can call the book 21 and changed O-N-E to W-O-N and get female business owners and entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders who have seen success during the pandemic. And I contacted Corey Walmsley probably 2 or 3 days later, and she was kind of washed over in the beginning, like, you want to add 20 people to an anthology. And by the end of the conversation, I said, send me a contract, let's go. And that was late November. No, I'm lying. That was early December. It was after Thanksgiving. It was early December of 2020. And the book launched April 21st of 2021.
So quick.
That fast.
So quick.
Yeah, and it was a compilation of everything. It was having Renee as my guidance and my friend and my coach, and having Corey to back me up and make sure that everything ran smoothly and gave me a timeline and all of that stuff. And then the women that I chose that I knew and the ones that I didn't know who were introduced to me by other women who were in the book, I couldn't have made better choices.
So really, for you to do this and put this all together, I mentioned project management. That's what it was, because you had timelines, because if not, this wouldn't have happened.
No.
I was being a leader, because I do a lot of leadership consulting with companies, and being a leader, sometimes I have to laugh. It's kind of like keeping kittens in a basket, because you're doing this because people are all over the place. So it's not just, okay, get me this and send it to me next week. You really have to be on people and follow up with people, because everyone has things going on.
Sure, because some of these women owned multiple businesses, Denise. They
Right.
weren't just running one business. Some of them owned 2 and 3 companies, or
Right.
you know, had full-time jobs and side gigs, and were writing the book, writing their chapter.
So when you thought about that, getting 20 other women, did you think, how is this ever going to happen? Did you get that sick feeling in your stomach, or did you just know this is going to happen?
I think a little bit of both, because I knew that I had some really strong female influences in my life that I was going after first. And they were like my first choices of,
Sure.
you know, A, B, C, D. And I did have some people that turned down the opportunity because they were too busy. They had too many balls in the air. And it was like, okay, that's fine. You know what? Whenever we do 22 instead of 21, you know, I'll contact you then. And it was no hard feelings. It was just, hey, you know what? The time might not have been right. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, I need some suggestions. I need some referrals to other women, you know, from these women to other women who were business owners. And, you know, the one woman lives in Atlanta, Georgia. I've never met her face to face. My bookkeeper is in the book, and she lives in the state of Indiana. We've never met face to face.
Right.
But we've all become this little community now where we are making referrals to one another. We're, you know, sending suggestions and you know, supporting each other on social media and, you know, sharing each other's posts. And it's just a great feeling. That was the whole goal of the book. It was never to make a ton of money, because it's just not something that happens. It was to give myself and some other women an opportunity to become published authors. And there's a lot of women in the book who were already authors, and this just gave them another outlet and another way to market themselves.
Yeah. You brought up a good point, Kelly, because people think if you write a book, unless you're Stephen King, whenever you write a book, you're not going to make a ton of money on the book.
No.
You know, people write books for different things, as a marketing tool, to sell at events, to get out there in front of people. So you decide in December to do this. Did you know that you wanted to have it done for April? Was that your goal, or did that just happen?
I personally thought this was going to take like close to a year, because I'd never done it before.
Right.
So I thought, okay, how am I going to get all of these people, you know, all of these women to write a chapter condense their bios, get me a good headshot. There was a lot of steps to it. And of course, I asked Renee to write the foreword because she was the driving force behind it. And I wanted to honor her with that opportunity to write my foreword.
That is an honor.
And, yeah, and she did a fantastic job. And when Corey started laying things out and I started looking at the timeline, I said, is this going to be done in the spring? And she said, yeah, it will be. So we looked at the calendar and I said, you know what? I said, if we can get it done in April, I said the 21st, 21, the 21st, 21 women.
Yeah.
I had a great nephew who was born on that day in 2020. So his birthday was 4/21 of 20. And I said, if we can get it out there for that, let's do it. It's the middle of the week, it would work out perfectly. And it just did. And I cannot thank the other women enough for, kicking their own butts and getting in gear and doing what we had asked them to do. That was the vital part of it.
Well, right, because you're relying on them. Without them, you don't have a book. You just have your chapter.
Right. And having that responsibility that I felt so much weight on my shoulders because I wasn't just responsible for my success or just the general success of the book. It was everybody involved.
Right. Could you hold up the cover again, the book again? Okay. So 21, I get that. So explain the cover.
Cover was back and forth for a little while. Karen Kapline from Better Be Creative is our graphic designer. She also has a chapter in the book. We went back and forth with women in superhero capes. Women standing, in that like pose that you do, like that power pose. And on top of a building with like offices, like a downtown type thing. And I was like, well, you know what? None of us are really working downtown. We're all working from home, small businesses. And it's funny that you asked this question because I had got a text message from Corey and at the same time had an email from Karen, and they both made a chess reference.
Oh, wow.
Within a 10-minute time period. Now, whether or not they planned that behind the scenes, I still don't know.
Yeah, I know both of them pretty well, so I don't know about that.
Yeah. And I, and I said to Karen, I said, all right, show me something. I haven't played chess since I was a kid. And like the Queen's Gambit was real popular and, the whole chess thing. And I knew that I wanted something purple, power, royalty. I just love the purple. And a lot of the women in the book, their logos have purple in their logos. And she did a couple different things. And, just having this piece become the queen with the shadow and just everything. And I just fell in love with it. And, it probably took us, 5 to 10 back and forths. And when I saw this one, I said, this is it. I mean, the font, just everything that she did was just perfection. And it just stands out to me, probably because it's my book, it's our book, but it stands out to me.
Yeah. Well, whenever you see it, that's it. That's it. And I know a lot of the women that wrote chapters in the book. Some of them have been on this show. A lot of them have been on my Empowering Women show. So I know a lot of people in that book. And there's some fabulous women, as you said.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Corey and I have been friends for years. She helped me edit my book. Karen, I've worked with her before. MJ. I mean, there's just so many people in your book.
Funny thing about MJ is I almost didn't ask her. And I've told her this before, that I thought because she'd been in business for so long, all the stuff she did with National Speakers Association and just how much she grew her business, I honestly didn't know if she would say, that's not really something for me. And meanwhile, she said yes almost immediately. And she did a whole video series on her YouTube channel where she interviewed each one of us and spent hours upon hours interviewing us and talking about our chapters and our businesses. And she was just fantastic. Everybody just had such a great part and just were so helpful with all of this.
And you've taken this more than just a book. That's what I think is so interesting. You just didn't do the anthology and then that's it. So you have a Facebook page for it. You just had a virtual workshop for 2 days. Talk a little bit about that because I wasn't able to attend. But talk a little bit about that.
Oh, it was fantastic. Corey Walmsley, who was the editor, my coach, we already talked about her. She came to me weeks ago and said, let's do a virtual conference. Are you okay with me spearheading this? And I said, on one condition is that you let me help. Because, as women, we always want to take the whole project in and do it all of ourselves. And I do have to say about 80% of it was Corey's work, no doubt about it. But I was her life support is what I kept saying because I was just there for backup. And she created a schedule where, there were 16 of the 21 who were able to participate because some people have other things going on, you know how that goes. And everybody had a 30-minute time block with a little break in between. We broke for lunch each day. So it ran from 9:30 to 3:30 last Thursday and Friday. And then what we're working on now is packaging it into something that we can sell moving forward at a really extremely reasonable price. I mean, it only costs $50 to go to the live virtual
Right.
conference as it was, and we're going to have it be a little bit less since there's no, live option to actually
Sure.
talk and ask questions.
Sure.
She created a workbook. She put together all the video stuff. Yes, she did the YouTube channel, YouTube videos with the end cards and the descriptions, and then she collected material from all of the speakers that she packaged into a zip file that has worksheets and free information. And it's just incredible. What the value of this package is just insane. And I'm just so blessed to know these women.
Incredible women, incredible women.
We want to do something live in the spring, like in person. That's our goal. Excuse me, hopefully around the time of the year, the book has been out, April of 2022.
1 year anniversary.
Yes, and we can have a hotel and do breakout sessions. And excuse me, I have terrible allergies, Denise. I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
To have breakout sessions and to have a keynote lunch speaker and just bring people together. And it's for men and women too, because we had some guys who signed up for the conference. Even though it's all women telling their stories, the stories pertain to any small business and nonprofit.
Right. I think it's amazing, Kelly, that last year, again, global pandemic, the world just stopped for a couple months. You started a new business. You had this idea on right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You actually signed the contract with your writing coach, beginning December.
Yeah, it was like the 5th or something, I think.
Book came out that following April.
Yeah.
Like in your handbook that following April. And then from that, you've developed this networking with these women. You have a Facebook page and you had a virtual conference all within less than a year when you had the idea.
Yeah, that's true, because it's not even a year yet until the coaching session that Renee and I did whenever this all came out. It's right place, right time. It's the whole universe, working to support you. And it's just having a positive attitude and just trying to turn something really bad into something good.
Kelly, what advice would you give someone watching that may think, I want to try that, but I just don't know if I could do that. That sounds like so much work, and I just don't know if I'm the person to do that. What advice would you, because I know you were scared at first to do this, because anyone would be. I mean, gosh, that's a major.
It's a big leap. Yes, it's a big leap. It's a big jump. For both instances, starting a job or writing your own book or even creating an anthology, organization and list making is so important to me. I talk about this every single time that I'm on any kind of show, any kind of meeting. It's staying organized and having a list and making sure that you're checking things off and not being afraid to ask for help. I would not be halfway where I am today if I did not have that strong network that I talked about at the beginning, with women who are supportive and caring and are willing to share their secrets. And always look to somebody to help you, because there are just tons and tons of women out there who will help you be successful.
Because we talked about before we started the interview, you and I, before we started recording this, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And you think, I never even knew this, or what do I do about this?
Right. Because I had no idea how to publish a book. I had no idea how to run an Amazon bestseller campaign. And now I'm doing it for clients because I fell in love with that process. And I learned so much doing it. And I know the value of having somebody back you up when you're putting a book out. You're learning this right now, that you need a team behind you to help you. And you need friends and family who are willing to support you and share your cause.
Right. Any final thoughts?
I just appreciate every opportunity that I've had with the business and the book. And I truly hope to put my own book out eventually, but I'd love to do another anthology. I hope Corey's not watching. She's going to run for the hills. No, we had a great time. I would love to carry this on. And like I said, do something live in person in the spring or in the summer next year, and just continue to help people, because there's really amazing golden nuggets in every single chapter of this book from every single woman that participated. It's fantastic.
Yes, and I haven't read it yet, so I will read it. Where can someone get this book, Kelly?
We have a website. It's 21book.com, and it's the word 20 spelled out, WON, book.com. And you can go right to the Amazon page from there. Or if anybody knows any of the authors who are in the book, please contact them and buy it from them directly, because that was my goal, was for everybody to sell their own books, make a couple bucks off of it, and use it as a marketing tool. So if you don't know any of the authors who are in the book, go to 21book.com.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me,
the audience, and share this amazing journey. I mean, this whole show is empowering you, and that's just, you've empowered so many people. I think you've empowered so many women that never thought they'd be in a book or write a book.
That is true.
Empower them just by writing a chapter.
That's true. Thank you so much.
Uh, Best wishes, and I hope continued success.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering You. I'd like to thank my guest, Kelly Commander. She is the CEO of K2 Creative and PR, and also the curator of 21, an anthology featuring her and 20 other women sharing their stories of resilience during the pandemic. Kelly is so inspiring and empowering, talking about how she created all this during the pandemic and how quickly she brought all this and had her book in hand in less than 6 months. I hope today's episode inspires and empowers you to live your dreams. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.